Here we are at last. The final battle with the source of Phazon. Dark Samus, your evil doppelganger. This is gonna be one chaotic fight, so make sure you're prepared for everything Dark Samus will throw at you. So Dark Samus will start off summoning pillars to the ground. I'll talk about these later. She only has 2 attacks right now. One is a homing Phazon blast, which she'll shoot 4 of, and a spread shot. You can shoot down the 4 blasts, but when it comes to the spread shot, you'll have to dodge out of the way, or hide behind the pillars. And speaking about those pillars, let's talk about them, because in 2 of the 5 pillars she'll summon down, some of them will have energy in them, and you can easily shatter them with a well-placed hyper missile. And Dark Samus will summon more pillars for you to destroy, if you want to. On the subject of hyper missiles, Dark Samus has her traditional shield back, but you can still stun her with a well-placed hyper missile, assuming she's not guarding, or if you break through her guard with a well-timed hyper missile. She can also use that shield to attack you offensively in a melee, but it's not too dangerous. When Dark Samus flies into a corner of the arena while glowing, she'll actually be charging back her energy up using phase to replenish. This is not something you'll want to wait around for. You'll want to attack Dark Samus as soon as possible, because she'll replenish a lot of her health. Granted, this is 2 times the speed as what would normally happen, but now she's almost back up to full. On Hyper Mode, when it comes to canceling her out of her regeneration, an almost fully charged Phazon beam can actually cancel her out of that regeneration. But Dark Samus has a new move as she gets lower health. She can do a shockwave, oh my god, as if we haven't seen enough of those. But what's really new is this. Take note of Samus' visor and breastplate, how they're lit up. Now take a closer look at the Dark Echo that she summoned. Maybe you'll notice a difference once we pause that again. The Dark Echo does not have a lit up visor or breastplate. This is how you determine the fake, but alternately you can use the X-ray visor. The lit up Dark Samus will be displayed in orange. The other will be a bit transparent. Now here's something that's very dangerous. Dark Samus can become invincible when she's charged with her Echo. Doesn't seem bad until you remember that you're on a timer. Dark Samus can also do a Shine Spark style attack with her Echo as well, so make sure to watch out for that, though it's pretty easily seen. Another dual attack she'll do is creating a sweeping laser beam, but you can actually just hide in the Morph Ball and you'll be perfectly fine. When it comes to damaging either Dark Samus or the Echo, I highly recommend actually going after the Echo, because not only will the Echo supply you with energy, but Dark Samus won't be able to become invincible if she forms back together. Dark Samus is actually also susceptible to the Screw Attack, not unlike Gandrada. However, now that Dark Samus' health is lowered, when she splits up to recharge her energy, she'll actually create echoes to try and deceive you. It's highly recommended that you go after the Echoes rather than Dark Samus herself, because you do not want to deal with Dark Samus charged with 2 more of her Echoes. As seen right here. How convenient. She'll still be invincible, so that's still troublesome, and she has 2 new attacks. This one's one of the worst. Your X-ray visor doesn't work because she's still supercharged with Phazon, and each one of her attacks will home in on you. And she can spawn up to 3 clones of herself, and all 3 will shoot blasts at you. And the fact that the Phazon has a relatively small hitbox makes this for a really challenging attack. This attack, on the other hand, isn't too bad, but it is rather perplexing, and you won't be doing any real damage to the main Dark Samus. You can just jump over any of the times Dark Samus tries to attack you, because she can only do melee in this, and it's actually best to just use hyper missiles because of the splash damage. It's also rather rare, but Dark Samus can also Shine Spark you with 2 of her Echoes, making it for double the damage it would normally do. Lastly, when it comes to the Echoes themselves, they lack all the abilities of Dark Samus aside from the Phazon Shield and the Spread Shot. The Dark Samus you see doing all other types of attacks is the real one. Now here's an attack that Dark Samus doesn't often do, and it's actually rather punishable. But Dark Samus will do a slow jump in the air, and then, not unlike Maganar and Gandrada, fire a blast of energy that courses through the ground at you. Considering her slow movement, you can rack up a ton of damage. And another thing, when Dark Samus spawns her echoes, she'll always be on the left side of them. And remember what I said about that phase-on shield of hers? Well, she can actually use that more offensively, up to 3 times even. But it's not too bad, pretty easily dodged. Another surprisingly simple attack Dark Samus has is a Plasma Beam, which you can very easily strafe out of the way. Lastly, Dark Samus can actually combine the Plasma Beam and the Shockwave for added effect. This only happens when her health is very low, so make sure to be extra cautious. But that's it for Dark Samus. But of course, it wouldn't be a final boss without another phase or two. So here we have the Aurora Unit 313. Now, despite it looking like Mother Brain, it doesn't fight at all like Mother Brain in any way, shape, or form. However, truth be told, I bet a 3D Mother Brain fight with all the Rinkas and turrets she has would probably be pretty boring and probably pretty difficult to make in the first place. But here's the Aurora Unit, and it's surprisingly simple, doesn't have that many attacks. It has tentacles, which, if you wait long enough, will actually fire homing phase-on at you. So long that you strafe, you should be fine. The Aurora Unit's also capable of firing a really powerful laser. It's a bit slow and predictable, but if it hits you, you'll be taking a lot of damage. That sensor that just popped out is actually very important. Damaging it can actually stun the Aurora Unit for a very long time. Otherwise, you can just attack the tentacles and try to hit the tiny hitbox for those glowing spots. The Aurora Unit can summon echoes of Dark Samus. These are even weaker than the echoes you've previously fought and are only capable of doing a arcing phase-on blast at you. They're really not that special. More, when you see them, they're just pickups. Wonderful health pickups. Now when the Aurora Unit's health is half down, it can launch mortar fire at you. These can be shot down, or you can just strafe out of the way. Basically, this boss is very susceptible to strafing, save for the Dark Samus Echo attack. In addition to the new mortar attack, the Echoes will change at half health as well. They'll actually transform into the Boost Ball, and they'll zigzag a rather predictable path. A well-aimed hyper missile will completely annihilate the Dark Samus Echoes. But that's it for the attacks on the Aurora Unit. But here we have the Aurora Unit's head. This fight has less weighting, thank God. And the Aurora Unit's capable only of 4 different attacks. A bit of a shame. Its most deadly attack is actually these erratic lasers. Not only is the Aurora Unit rather difficult to hit when it's spinning around like this, but the lasers do a lot of damage. A rather lame attack the Aurora Unit can do is spinning along the ground. Why is it spinning along the ground? I'm not really sure. It's not even that accurate in the first place. The Aurora Unit can also fire a beam blast at you, but once it does, it gets stunned, so you can wail on its little back even more. Though be careful, it might hide against a wall. And the last thing it can do is a shockwave attack. It's as if every boss in this entire game has shockwaves. How do you not know how to dodge them by now? Oh my goodness. Oh, that's it. That's all the attacks it can do. 4 attacks. That's... what a shame. You can easily destroy that sensor, and then the Aurora Unit will become stunned for a very long time. You'll prevent the shockwave from happening, and you'll do a ton of damage instead. Well, that's it for the Aurora Unit. That's... it... a little bit lame. 4 attacks for a final boss. Well, I don't know. It's a little better than, say, Metroid Prime's final boss. The Metroid Prime Core. That only had 1 attack and spawning Metroids. Thanks, Dark Samus. You were a really fun fight.